Welcome to the Alchemy of Sex and Spirit, where sex, psychology and spirit meet. In this episode, we're decoding the serpent. And stay until the end for this episode's magical practice. It might just change everything. In the 1960s, there was a global pandemic. It wasn't a virus, but it spread like one. It was Beatlemania. Now, if anyone listening is too young to know what Beatlemania was, let's just say this. A pop group called the Beatles from Liverpool in the UK became so popular that the Fab Four, as they became known as, are still considered to be the most influential band of all time. And right at the height of the global hysteria surrounding the Beatles, something happened that shifted the energetic landscape of the entire West. They met Maharishi Mahesh Yogi and discovered transcendental meditation. At the same time, other yogis and spiritual teachers arrived from India, bringing meditation, yoga, pranayama, and the ancient science of raising consciousness. And what followed was flower power and the sexual revolution of the 1970s. Historians will tell you that this was caused by social change, the pill, feminism, a more relaxed and open attitude to sex and marriage. But these were effects, not causes. These were the flames, not the spark. There was something deeper that ignited that sexual liberation, something that came before the sexual revolution itself. Keep listening, and I'll reveal what that something was in a moment. But let's stay for now with the flame that came from the spark. In the later 1970s and early 80s, the world contracted again. Sexually transmitted diseases, unwanted pregnancies, drug addiction, and of course, HIV. Yet, even through this contraction, the deep echo of that earlier awakening remained. A force had entered the collective unconscious, and it wouldn't go back to sleep. Like letting a genie out of the bottle, once released, there's no returning. Before going further, full disclosure. I grew up in the 60s and 70s. I owe much of my life path to swinging London, meditation, spirituality, and the expanding consciousness of that era. But when we study the deeper science of sex and spirit, a different picture emerges, one of cause and effect, of energy and awakening. So what has this got to do with the Beatles, you might ask? Well, everything. What was the real power, the real engine, the spark behind the sexual revolution? To answer that, we return to Beatlemania. More accurately, to the moment they discovered transcendental meditation and to the unconscious awakening of the serpent power, the Kundalini. Something astonishing happened, something the world had never seen, something we still haven't fully understood. Imagine it. 4 young men who became the focus of global consciousness, not just fame, but a kind of psychic magnetism. Millions of minds and hearts all tuned in to the same emotional frequency. And then, right at the height of this psychic intensity, they turned inward. They meditated. They entered the inner world. They activated their subtle energy. They touched the deeper currents of the psyche. And when they did, something ignited. Call it Kundalini. Call it creative fire. Call it the serpent lifting its head. Whatever name you use, the effects were unmistakable. Their creativity exploded. Their consciousness expanded, and their music transformed. They opened doors no one had dared open. Lyrically, musically, psychologically, spiritually. The Beatles didn't just awaken something in themselves, they awakened something in us, in the collective psyche. Because when millions of people are emotionally attached to a phenomenon, and that phenomenon awakes its inner fire, the energy spreads, it ripples outward, it moves through the psychic field of the world. It was like plugging human consciousness into a hidden generator, almost a global Kundalini tremor, a surge of unrealized possibilities, of rebellion, imagination, desire, ambition, creativity. And the world was never the same again. So, what is Kundalini? The word Kundalini comes from Sanskrit. Serpent, coiled one, it means. In the East, the serpent has always symbolized sacred power. In India and Tibet, the serpent remains sacred. The cobra symbolizes renewal, power, protection, the marriage of masculine and feminine energies. In China, serpents and dragons guard the devas. In the West, we demonized it. Our inherited fear of snakes, especially through the Western telling of the Genesis story from the Bible, has created centuries of misunderstanding about sexual energy and the serpent. And for over 50 generations, we've suffered the consequences of that distortion. Is the serpent dangerous? Yes. But is electricity dangerous? Well, yes, if you don't know how to use it. Kundalini is simply one current of electricity in the body, the voltage of the soul, the coiled creative force that every human being is born with. This force is the same energy that builds our lives. We work, we build, imagine, create, earn, contribute. All these things are powered by the creative force within us. This is why the ancient Greek symbol of commerce was the caduceus. Two serpents rising in harmony, creative energy, disciplined, directed. And sex is the most common expression of this creative force. When we work with it consciously, something extraordinary happens. We become more alive, less tired, more focused, more intuitive, more emotionally balanced, more capable, much more creative. The serpent isn't evil. The serpent is the energy that heals, awakens, transforms, and creates. But, and this is essential, it must awaken in the right way. When Eastern spirituality flooded into the West in the 60s and 70s, Kundalini moved from being a guarded science to a fascination. Practices that once required years of preparation were compressed into weekend workshops. The Chinese whispers effect began. Mistranslations, distortions, simplifications, and sometimes the servant was poked awake before the ground was ready. That doesn't make Kundalini dangerous. It makes unconscious awakening dangerous, like plugging a 5-volt device into a 500-volt outlet. By the 2000s, tantric sex became a huge spectrum, from genuine sacred intimacy to commercial erotic workshops dressed up as spirituality. Some of it is real, some superficial, but much of it focuses only on the serpent path, the rising current, without acknowledging the balancing lightning path, which is the descending masculine current, known in the Western tradition as fohat. And without that descending current, the rising serpent can become ungrounded, too hot, too fast, too overwhelming, or even too feminine, chaotic, unrestrained. Now, here's a formula to remember. S plus S equals P. That is, sex plus spirit equals power. But S plus S plus B equals M. Sex plus spirit plus balance equals magic. And that balance, the sacred marriage, is the union of the rising feminine and descending masculine currents. And that's what we'll explore next time on the alchemy of sex and spirit. Magical practice. Find a place where you can be quiet and undisturbed for 15 minutes. Sit comfortably with your spine straight, or lay down on your back with your arms by your sides and palms upwards. Now, choose one area of your life where you want a real, tangible improvement. It may be better health, more financial stability or prosperity, a relationship breakthrough, more confidence, a creative project you want to complete. You choose. Now place one hand on your lower belly, the home of the coiled serpent. Place the other hand on your heart, the home of self-awareness. And breathe slowly and deeply. And now imagine a tiny point of warm, golden light in your lower belly, close to your genitals. The serpent's first movement, not blazing, just awake, just shining. On each inhale, imagine that golden light brightening by 1%. And each exhale, imagine your body relaxing, opening space for that light, that power to expand. Inhaling, the light is brightening. Exhaling, your body relaxing. More space for that light and that power to expand. Now, after a minute or two, speak your chosen definite aim clearly to yourself, either audibly or silently. Let this energy rise in me and organize my life for this result. Then state your aim. Keep breathing. Let the golden light and its warmth rise just to the heart, no higher yet, but where energy meets self-awareness. And hold your aim, your intention, in your mind. Not forcing, not straining, just allowing. Feel the union of the energy and the awareness. Feel the system reorganizing around your stated aim or intention. Just a few minutes is enough. Then relax, breathe normally, and trust that the serpent has heard you and is already acting on your behalf. I hope you found today's episode helpful and informative. I hope you join me again next time. If something in today's episode has spoken to you, maybe it stirred a question or touched something inside that wants to heal or go deeper, you're welcome to reach out. If you'd like to arrange a call with me, you'll find a link in the episode description. In the meantime, take these words away with you. When Kundalini rises, sexual energy ascends to meet consciousness. Eros meets spirit. Energy meets awareness. And when those two unite, the whole human system reorganizes. You feel more alive, more creative, more intuitive, more tender, more powerful, and more connected. Thank you for listening. I'm David Brown, and this is The Alchemy of Sex and Spirit.